would like to welcome everyone here today for the 5th meeting of 2019 for Bitcoin Cash developers. And I'm just going to go through the goal of the meeting today is to, and I'm going to just mute you, Jason, sorry, no offense. That'll be my joke. The goal of the meeting is to share information that may help with the planning for the upcoming upgrade and beyond. We'll talk a little bit about beyond afterwards. So there's the agenda. I'll read through it. Number 1 is the report on the node implementations represented at the meeting. Since the last BCHD meeting, Bitcoin ABC 0.19.0 was released. Bitcoin ABC devs can give a brief report on how that went and any information that they'd like to convey to node users. Other node implementations can report on how development is going and any other news they may have. Second item on the agenda is a report on the Upgrade Testnet. I'll let those Antony and Mark go through that. We will have a report, God willing, from Chris Pacia and Amaury on Avalanche and the progress and the plans. And then the 4th item on the agenda is looking to the next upgrade. And are there any ideas and priorities that people want to see going forward for November 2019? So we'll start the meeting off with our usual go around and introductions. And start with Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Lundeberg. I was helping out with the Schnorr implementation for this this upcoming upgrade. And in the past, I've worked on things like simple ledger protocol design, that sort of thing.
Thank you, Mark. Jason B. Cox.
Hi, I'm Jason Cox, a software engineer contributing to Bitcoin ABC. I've been primarily focusing on releases and refactoring and backports.
Thank you, Jason. Amaury?
So I'm Amaury. I'm a lead developer of Bitcoin ABC.
Thank you. Antony?
Yeah, I'm Antony Zegers. I'm a Hungarian online and help out with Bitcoin ABC mostly.
Okay. Emil? All right.
Yeah. My name is Emil Oldenburg, and I'm the CTO of Bitcoin.com, and we have about 20% of the BCH hash rates, and we have we love building new cool features on BCH.
And you have been doing a lot, so that's good. That leads me to a quick question, Emil. You have a large crew of people that are developing at Bitcoin.com. Are there other people that are working with you at the protocol level as well?
Not really. We have Gabriel Cardona's team working on SDKs for JavaScript. But these are SDKs and APIs. So currently, like what we're focusing on is delivering a fast, reliable, and low latency blockchain API for everyone. So because accessing the blockchain data is kind of a hassle, especially if you're using Bitcoin as your primary database, because it's not really a database server, but even though a lot of people use it that way. So that's what we're working on. So it's like it can become really easy for people to access all the blockchain data.
Excellent. Thank you for that little bit of extra information, Emil. I think what we'll do is we'll start off with the report on the status of the node implementations, and I guess maybe I'll throw it over to Jason, if I will.
Sure. So as many of you know, we did Bitcoin ABC 0.19 is successfully released last week. It contains implementations for Schnorr signatures and SegWit recovery transactions. I'd like to hear more about other node implementation statuses on these for the next upcoming upgrade in May. So we'll be ready for it.
Good. I know that we've got a couple of other people that will hopefully be here soon that'll give us a little bit more update on what they're doing as well. Unfortunately, Matthias from BitPay will not be able to attend today. Okay, any other comments on the Bitcoin ABC release? Amaury, did you want to speak to it at all? No. Cat got your tongue. Okay.
I do have one more comment to make. We'll be continuing to do our regular releases. We do every 2 weeks we do a new release. So we'll continue to do minor releases with bug fixes and whatnot. But the 0.19 is the first release. It's the May upgrade.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jason. People can find out the details of those releases at bitcoincash.org. Is that correct?
For our releases specifically, bitcoinabc.org, we have information on our GitHub, and of course, pulling down the repository and checking the release notes. That's most of the details would be.
We just want to make sure people have access to all the information they need for the updates. Any other comments on the report on the status of the node implementations? No? Move on to the Upgrade Testnet. How's that going, guys?
It's going pretty well. Yeah, I guess I'll just give a brief summary of everything. Maybe Mark can maybe jump in after because he did a lot of the actual testing of stuff. But yeah, shortly after the last meeting, we set up a testnet. We tested Bitcoin ABC 0.19 prior to the release, including like activating the upgrade, trying out the features, doing reorgs through the upgrade point, and a bunch of tests like that. The plan is but we're going to keep it running all the way up until May 15th. So the idea is that anyone who wants to try out anything, like whether it's wallets, other node implementations, or anything for the upgrade, can use that as a resource to help them test things out. What else? Yeah, there's information on the bitcoincash.org GitHub, and I think it's linked from various places. I'm not sure if it's actually up on bitcoincash.org website, but it should be pretty shortly. I've got a pull request in for that. So there's a document that has all the parameters that you need to enter to connect to that testnet, but it's publicly available. It's just an open public testnet that anyone can use. So basically at this point we have mining and a bunch of nodes on there. And yeah, I wanted to mention Imaginary Username and Wex both are using some mining hardware to help out with the mining. And we're working on hopefully getting an Explorer up and running pretty soon. I think maybe Emil can comment on that.
Yeah, so we got a request to set up our block explorer for the testnet.
Yeah.
There's just a little dependency issue. So our current block explorer is depending on Insights, the old version, which has been maintained by Bitprim. So they've been porting over all the new features. They have a repo called Bitcoin ABC, where basically they just merge in all the Bitcore patches for like address index, etc. I checked with Bitprim if they plan to merge in the features from 0.19, and they said that if they're going to do it, they will do it last minute. So I started trying to merge not 0.19 into Bitcore, but it is a lot of work. A lot of things change. So it will take a while. So we probably won't be able to get a Block Explorer testnet on explorer.bitcoin.com and until we have Insight ported over for 0.19.
Okay.
So if anyone want to help out with that, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, that's good information to know. So maybe we should ask around and figure out how we can deal with that.
Yeah, I would add something to that. We've been stating for quite a long time that if someone want to get those patches back in shape, so those patches originally have been proposed to Bitcoin Core and they were rejected. But if someone were willing to put them back into into shape, because right now they are quite hacky due to people, backporting stuff like they can. But if someone was willing to put that into, like a good shape and go through the review process, I think it would make sense to add those to Bitcoin ABC directly. As long as, it's behind a flag or something like that, so we don't build the address index for all the people that don't want it. But otherwise, I think it would make things much easier for everybody, because then we can make sure we don't break it with every single release randomly when we refactor stuff.
Yeah, so the current way it works right now is that you need to configure your client to actually use those indexes. So if you don't have the flags activated, it will not index on addresses, for example. So it has an address index and a time index.
Mark, were you going to add to this discussion on the testnet? I hear you have a few testnet coins to give away.
Oh, I don't have the majority of them. Someone else has them.
Okay.
I've been doing all the mining. But yeah, I've been testing out all the little details of things that we've added, like the Schnorr signatures and segment recovery and whatnot, and just making sure that they actually work. So they do, which makes sense, because we also had good tests for those in the client code itself. But yeah, so I have like a version of Electron Cache that just produces Schnorr signatures. In principle, you can run that and do Schnorr transactions on the fork testnet right now. I've been playing around with that, but yeah, it's going well, let's say.
Great, thank you, Mark. Any other questions or comments on the Upgrade testnet? Well,
so just to wrap it up, I guess I would like to invite other businesses to test their software directly on the testnet, the fork testnet, make sure that they are prepared for the upgrade.
Okay. And the correspondence that you've had going out to the various businesses mentions that, is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Just to another bit of information is that I mentioned there's a document with all the information about the testnet. There's also a work group that's linked from there also. So anyone, like, I'd encourage people to join that also. There's a Telegram group and so on. So if anyone has questions or anything, there's lots of people in there willing to help out.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
I just want to add, I don't think we should expect any third-party software to be affected this time, because it's a pretty small change. Even the Schnorr signatures, like, nobody even validates those. Like, if you're using Electrum Wallet, it never even looks at the signatures, for example. So nobody's actually really going to be affected, as far as I can tell. But it's good to test anyways.
Yeah, we need to find someone that can also do a Bitcoin J implementation. Since the November hard fork, Bitcoin J has not been maintained really for Bitcoin Cash.
Okay. Any further comments on the Upgrade testnet? Moving along to Avalanche. Amaury, can you speak to this without Chris being here?
Yeah, there's not that much news on that front. Just ironing out the way, the way it counts the vote and everything, but there's nothing groundbreaking going on that front.
Okay.
I had a little question about that. What's the sort of, I don't know what you call the timeline, the roadmap for Avalanche turning into something that's working on the network and, all the different phases, let's say. So you have an idea of that?
Yeah, I assume we'd have some, well, we already have a prototype in BCHD, but I guess we'd have a more feature-full prototype, by the first half of the year, during the first half of the year. And then depending on that, this prototype is gonna probably use a node that you add manually or something like that, and don't have a Sybil resistant mechanism. And then the Sybil mechanism shouldn't be too difficult to implement whatever we pick, but it's more a question of We want to make the incentives, make sure the incentives are right and are creating the behavior that we want and everything. And especially not creating perverse behavior that we don't want. That's the main part. So depending on how fast this part goes, then, we'll see. But like this second part is not something that we should rush in any way. I think it's, it's the kind of part of the system you don't want to push before it's ready.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Any other comments on Avalanche? Question? Hearing none, move on to the final item on the agenda is looking at, we do have some questions coming, but before I get to the question, looking forward to the next upgrade, which will be in November. Are there any ideas or priorities that people want to think about to lay the groundwork for preparations for 2019? I know that getting things lined up early has been a repeated request and for everyone. So one of the suggestions that comes up is that as these meetings are becoming shorter because we're getting closer to the actual upgrade, that it's possible we can dedicate every second meeting to working towards the details of the November upgrade. That's just a suggestion that's been made by somebody out there. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but we certainly can talk about that going forward. Do you guys have anything that you want to speak to on the November upgrade? Antony, I think you had a couple of ideas.
Was that me? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Sorry. Yeah, I was talking about the ideas or priorities for the upgrades upgrade in November.
I guess I just would make the point that, like, for things that didn't make it in this time, like null dummy and the minimal push, there's no reason not to. I mean, we could even if someone like coded it and implemented it and had it even with activation and everything, there's no reason that couldn't be put in like anytime soon. There's no reason to wait on that. So I think people sometimes have this idea that like we want to wait till the last release before the upgrade, but I mean, it could be merged in like right now if it was ready. So because
actually, I'd say it's even better. The earlier it is, the better it is.
Yeah, and if the changes that activate after November 15th change before that's okay, because we have because of the way the replay protection works, until that's bumped. It's okay if we release versions with like different features activating, like if we added in, say, null dummy soon, that activates, and then we add in another thing later, that's okay. So yeah, I just don't know if people realize that like there's no reason to wait. So
time is of the essence. Good.
So I have had one thing that I mentioned before, and so it's the unconfirmed transaction chain. And I know that some people have been wondering who's going to do the work and all that, and we haven't really. So since we missed the deadline, or there were no time to do this before the May hard fork deadline, so we haven't really moved anything yet. We haven't really moved yet because there's plenty of time still until in November. But we have a few candidates in mind, and we're willing to put up the money. So we're just talking to the right people to make sure that we'll get done in time. But currently, there's no hurry to do it. But we really want it to be included and activated on the November hard fork. And yeah, so the question is, who's going to do the work? We've been talking to some people, so we'll get that sorted. Yes, hasn't been a rush.
Okay, well, you'll keep us up to date on that, Emil, so thank you.
Absolutely.
There is a question that's come through, and I think this might be along the same lines as came in from Paul. What is the status of the 25 unconfirmed chain limit fix?
Well, the status is that it needs to be, it couldn't be activated this hard fork. It needs to be activated next hard fork. We have candidates in mind. We are willing to put up the money. It's just that there's no rush to do it right now.
Okay. Just give me just a second here.
I just want to say one quick thing while you're taking a break there. So just a reminder, so if we're keeping the same feature-free schedule, which I assume we're doing, then that would mean the next one would be August 15th, I believe, right?
Yes.
So that's the time you got to shoot for, not November.
Right.
So, looks like a lot of time, but...
Yeah, we're fully aware. So we want it done before August 1st.
Yeah.
Just in time for the party. Second year anniversary, as it will be. We have gentlemen's joining us now. Perhaps you've heard of him. I'm just going to wait until we see if we get his microphone on.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Chris. Thank you for joining.
Sorry, I got tied up.
No problem. So there's been a bit of a report on Avalanche. I just wondered if there's anything further that you wanted to talk about with regard to Avalanche.
Well, I mean, not knowing what other people said, I think where we're kind of at is I think it's kind of at a point where we need sort of other people besides kind of me and Amaury to sort of review what we have so far and kind of think about some of the parameters of the system and like the consensus rules and things like this, because there's still quite a bit of unknowns and kind of different directions that it could go and take. And I think there hasn't been just a whole lot of people thinking about it in that context.
I know that there's a Telegram group that has almost 4,000 people in it talking about Avalanche. Is that
4,000?
It's pretty close to that. Anyway, I just wondered if there's some resources out there of people that would be willing to take a look at things and work with you guys, putting the word out to the development community, which we're doing now.
Yeah.
So, ask about integrating features in BCHD. How's that going? And when is an upgrade expected? And that's to Chris.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take terribly long to complete it from where it is. The Schnorr signature stuff is, or at least the implementation is kind of just about done, but the implementation of the signature is, but to get it, like activated and incorporated into the actual code is not going to take that much more work to get it from there. And then we have the other part of it. So, I would probably say by the end of March, we'll probably have a release out that contains those upgrades.
So trademark 4 weeks then?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Good. Anybody have any questions for Chris? Nope. Okay. Anybody have any final thoughts that they'd like to bring forward before we adjourn? Any questions from the audience as well? What an amazingly quiet group and another short meeting, which is good. It means that things are going well and people are working in the background. So I'd like to take a moment to thank you all for the work that's been done for Bitcoin Cash and at the protocol level. I know that there's a tremendous amount of work going on other projects that are related to Bitcoin Cash. And so we're all starting to get a little bit of excited about how we move forward. So I'll look forward to hearing more and chatting with you all in approximately 2 weeks. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, David, and everyone.
All right. See you then.
Thank you.